very much, Ginny. So welcome, everybody. It's good to see so many people online. As Ginny said, I'm the dean here at Cummings School. I've been here for 3 years. And so I can tell you that this is a great place to be. We've got a great location. You can see behind Suzanne's head, the big sign that's out in front of my office. We're on 600 beautiful acres in a little town called Grafton, just 20 minutes from Worcester, which is the second largest city in New England, and about 45 minutes from Boston. So you got the best of everything here. You get to live in a semi-rural environment, but you have easy access to all the good things you can see in large cities and towns. But most importantly, we have great academic programs for you. You're here today to learn about our master's programs, our course-based master's programs. And we also have PhD programs, and of course, our flagship, being a veterinary school, is a DVM program. So that's one of the great things about doing programs here is you have lots of other things going on. You're going to hear about 3 of our master's programs, which really focus on animal and human health and how they interact with each other and with the environments where we all live. There are many connections between the health of animals in our lives and the health of people, whether that's simply getting out there and getting some exercise with your dog and improving your cardiovascular health, or having a companion that improves your mental health, or dealing with issues that we've all just experienced, such as COVID-19, which is an infectious disease that arose in animals, as far as we know, and was transmitted to humans and then spread in the human population. So that last description falls under the category of what we call One Health, which is understanding how animals, humans, environment interact, and Global Health, which is understanding how things move around the globe and what we can do to help improve the health of everybody everywhere. So you'll find out some interesting things about the programs and some of the things about being here at Cummings School, which I hope will let you understand what a great place it would be to pursue further education if you're interested. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kate, and I will leave it to everybody else to tell you more of the details. But before I sign off, is there anything that anybody who's logged in and watching would like to ask me? Okay, great. Jenny, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dean Cribb.
Thank you.
Would you like to take it from here, Kate?
Hi. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Join with the dean in welcoming you. We do have a beautiful campus. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it's just a pleasure to come in to campus there. So, and we have a lot of great people. So he mentioned the master's programs, PhD, and as he said, the flagship is the DVM. This is the majority of the students here. The graduate program, the DVM program is considered a professional degree program. It's a 4-year program. And the graduate programs are considered, are termed academic programs. And as he mentioned, we have the 3 master's degrees that you're here to look at today. And we have the PhD program also, which we're not going over today. But if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact me. I can help you with that. So I will say that each program is unique. They fill certain niches, and the faculty in each of the program are fabulous, and they are very well connected, which is something very important for you to think about when you're looking for a program, because from the program, you're either going to want to find a job or you're going to want to go on and do some more education. So you need faculty that are well connected and can help you with those kinds of things. And all of our faculty are very well connected in their various areas. So that's something that's very good. They're a wonderful group of people, and you will spend time. You are a cohort. Each program works with their own group. but we do do things together. And one of the things is the electives. So as you go start picking electives, you can pick them not only in your program, but across programs. So for example, in the MAPP program, and Jenny, you can help me with this, we have wildlife in captivity, we have animal law, pause for people, shelter medicine, animal human behavior, I think, or something to that effect. And I'm missing some, I'm sure.
Yep, there's applied behavior and also animal welfare too.
Animal welfare, right. So, and in the MCM program, they have chiropteran health. And for those who don't know that word, I knew I had to learn it when I first saw it. It's bat health. And we have storytelling for conservation medicine, which is fascinating. We also have, and Tracy, you can help me with this. We have drones. We do something.
Exactly.
Right. And there's another one I'm missing, I think, I thought.
We have an epi elective too.
Right, epidemiology. So, which tends to be a very popular one. And in the MS-IDGH program, we have bioinformatics. And what's the other one, Christine?
Yeah, so we have bioinformatics, and then we have applications to biotechnology. And then we have a core course, bioterrorism, that we allow other programs to take as an elective.
Right, definitely. So you have that opportunity to take your electives across the programs. You also have an opportunity to take courses on the Medford campus, at Fletcher School, at the College of Arts and Sciences. We have some this year taking an advanced GIS course. We have several taking some at Fletcher that is doing, it's a global health, One Health course with our previous dean who's teaching it. And so you have that open to you. Also for electives, we are part of the Medford Consortium. Now, the main campus is on for Tufts University, it's in Medford, and they have a consortium. They're part of a consortium with Boston University, Boston College, and Brandeis University. So if you find something at one of those universities that you find interesting, you would be permitted to take a course there. No further charges or tuition fees, anything like that, unless you're taking some really high level lab course that has an extra fee. But there are no tuition charges if you do something like that. So there's a lot of opportunity to expand your knowledge and to kind of move out of the core of your area and check out other things. And we hope that you will look at applying. And if you have any questions, as I've already been talking, Jenny with the Masters in Animal and Public Policy, Tracy with the Conservation Medicine Program, and Christine with the Infectious Disease and Global Health Program. They're a wealth of information. I am also here to answer any questions if you have them. And again, with the PhD, if anyone's interested in that, feel free to contact me. And I think with that, I will turn it back to Jenny.
Thank you so much, Kate. Everyone, I just want to say you're going to hear from several speakers and get a lot of information. And you're welcome to contact these individuals directly. But if you do forget, you can just reply to the confirmation email and we'll direct you to the person you want to reach, if that helps. So from there, I would like to introduce, we're going to start with financial aid with Suzanne Ukpong, our financial aid counselor. Super knowledgeable and helpful. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Jenny. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to take a second and pull up my PowerPoint. Give me 1 second. And minimize. All right. So I'm happy today to talk to you about financial aid. You heard from Kate and she talked to you a little bit about all the wonderful programs that we offer, but we understand that financial aid is a huge part of the decision-making process of whether or not you decide to pursue a graduate degree. So let's get started. And as Ginny mentioned, if you have any questions after the presentation, I'm happy to answer them, or you can email me directly. I do also want to mention that you should have a copy of this presentation, the slides. I like to include active links, so I did include a copy of the slides available for you as well. So I just want to start by introducing myself. I'm Suzanne Ukpong, financial aid counselor. I've been at the Cummings School for 11 years now, so definitely a great resource to you with any financial aid questions that you may have. Charlotte Heydrich, she's the financial aid program director. We work very closely together, as well as with Linda Mayo, who's the administrative coordinator to the Student Affairs Office. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have. We understand lots of questions, concerns can come up in the financial aid process, that it can be somewhat overwhelming. So do not hesitate to reach out to us at any point during the process. Best way to get a hold of us really is email. We have our vet-renaid@tufts.email email address open all the time to answer and address any questions that we receive. Skip the agenda and get right to it. So in terms of financial aid, these are funds that consist, or they're funds that are provided to students to help pay for educational expenses. Primarily here at the Cummings School, we see students take advantage of three main sources. And one that you may be most familiar with is federal student aid. And unfortunately, though, on the graduate level, it does primarily consist of student loans, which we will talk more about. But there also is a federal work-study grant for students who are interested in working, holding a job on campus and earning work-study funds to help with everyday pocket expenses. Again, that might be something that you're also familiar with as well. Federal student aid is an option for U.S. citizens as well as eligible non-citizens. So most common category of an eligible non-citizen would be a permanent resident, but there are other categories as well. So if you're interested, you could click on this link to find out what those categories include. Non-federal alternative education loans, also known as private loans. These are loans provided by banks or private organizations, companies. Could be a good alternative to a federal loan or federal student aid. And we're going to talk more about that option as well. These alternative education loans, private loans, are options for U.S. citizens as well as international students or non-citizens. Outside scholarships, I can't stress this enough. This is an option for all students. All students should be looking for ways to reduce their borrowing. And this is a great opportunity. These are, this can definitely help to reduce the amount of debt that you take on. And the more proactive you are in terms of seeking and exploring scholarship opportunities, the more likely you will receive something. So we will talk more about that, and I will have more information about scholarship opportunities. So applying for federal student aid is a pretty straightforward process. But before I talk about that, let me just say that it is a rolling deadline. That means that there is no particular deadline that you need to meet. So there's no stress in that sense. As soon as you know you're interested in the program and you're looking to enroll, definitely complete the financial aid application process. And what you would want to do first is complete the 2023-2024 free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. And you would complete that immediately. It would only include your information. So parent information is not a part of the FAFSA process. And it is recommended that you use the IRS data retrieval tool if you are able to do that and use that tool. It does make the process of providing your financial information a no-brainer because it accesses your IRS data, your IRS tax return, auto-populates all the information that you need. So that is important. If you have already submitted your FAFSA, let's say you're applying to multiple programs at different schools, but you did not yet include our school code, you can do that through the corrections process. So that is something that you would want to do to make sure that we receive your FAFSA results. In addition to completing the FAFSA, there is a Cummings financial aid application. It's a one-page application that you must submit. This application has not yet been updated. So once it has been updated, it will be available on our website. You can also contact the financial aid office to retrieve that document as well. I did want to provide you with information about the cost of attendance. So this information can be found on our website. And I want to just specify that this is the cost of attendance based on the current academic year. Charges for next academic year 2023-24 has not yet been finalized. But this is absolutely a good estimate of what you can expect. So cost of attendance comprises of direct and indirect costs. This first chart highlights the MCM and the MAPP program. It's a 12-month budget, whereas IDGH, the second chart, is an 11-month budget, 11-month program. Another difference between the two charts is that under IDGH, there is an additional fee. It's the laboratory fee that MCM students and MAPP students do not incur. But what you can see are direct costs are tuition and the health administration fee. These are fees that the students are directly charged. But the cost of attendance also includes indirect costs, and that includes food, rent, and utilities, as well as a miscellaneous budget, which is a good buffer for personal and transportational expenses. And so the total cost are these figures right here highlighted for you. Students are also charged health insurance as well. And these are the health insurance charges, again, for the current academic year. We find that most of our students do waive health insurance, so we don't include it straight away in the cost of attendance. However, students can borrow for health insurance if they are purchasing a health insurance plan. So that can be included in the total cost of attendance. When you receive your financial aid notice from us, so we reviewed your application and now we're sending you an award package, you will be packaged for up to the total cost of attendance. And it will be up to you to decide what you need to accept / decline in terms of the aid offered. So I wanted to dive in a little bit further in terms of the sources of financial aid. As I mentioned, federal student aid primarily does consist of student loans. The two types of loans that will be offered is the federal direct unsubsidized loan and the federal direct graduate plus loan. The interest rate for these two particular loans for the current academic year, so the unsub, the interest rate's fixed at 6.54%, and for the graduate plus loan, it's fixed at 7.54%. We don't know what the interest rates will be for next academic year. It will be reset by the Department of Education around July. So at that point, we will know what the interest rates will be for next year. But regardless, they are always fixed interest rates. These two types of loans are not awarded based on need. So that is another difference between graduate and undergraduate. Just being a graduate level student, you are eligible for $20,500 in unsubsidized funds. And the graduate plus loan is used to make up the difference between the cost of attendance and the unsubsidized loan. So when you apply for federal student aid, if you apply, you will see both of these loans listed in your financial aid notification. If you are entering grad school and you have prior federal student loans, these loans will go in an in-school deferment status, therefore meaning you do not need to make any payments while you are enrolled in school. If you have prior alternative private education loans or institutional loans, you should check with your loan servicer to see if they are eligible for an in-school deferment status. So that is something that you should absolutely do. But just to go back to the graduate loans, no payment is required while you are enrolled in school. They will be in an in-school deferment status. And the unsubsidized loan, the Grad Plus loan, is designed to begin to accrue interest the moment they disperse. All right, non-federal alternative education loans, again, the private loans, again, are offered by private banks organizations, and you should do your homework and compare the private loans or alternative loans that you're considering to the federal program. And things that you would want to compare is the interest rate information, the deferment period information, borrower benefits, repayment plan options. If you are a student who, after this graduate program, you are considering pursuing a DVM or a PhD where you will need flexibility in the future, meaning you will need to postpone making payments on prior loans, deferment periods are going to be very important to you. So we know that with the federal program, if you're enrolled in school at least half time, your prior loans are eligible for an in-school deferment, but you would want to check that with private education loans. It's not always the case. And also in terms of repayment plan options, the federal program offers many different types of repayment plan options, some more strict, whereas others are very flexible, like the income-driven repayment plans. And so if flexibility is what you need in the future, then you would want to heavily weigh that in your comparison. Outside scholarships, so this is an active link here. Our Cummings Financial Aid Office has an information page, and this will take you to the information page about scholarship information. And what you would want to do is really explore all opportunities. Outside scholarships can be awarded based off of merit or need. And if you go to our site, you can there's some search engines that you can begin your scholarship search. Now is not too soon to definitely look into what opportunities are out there. And my advice to you is to not discount any type of scholarship, sometimes, or any amount, I should say. Sometimes students overlook scholarships that are $500 and really only go for those higher amount scholarships, but those lower amount scholarships might be a little less competitive. So, look at all opportunities. And again, now is not too early to do that. Understanding credit is important to you now and in the future. In terms of the loans that I mentioned, the Graduate Plus loan is a credit-based loan. So if you have adverse credit, any discrepancies on your credit, you could potentially be denied for that credit, for that loan. So you should check now. Again, I wouldn't wait. Review your credit history and your credit report. There are a number of websites that you can do that for free. Annualcreditreport.com is just one website that's available. And if you do that now, it does give you time to reconcile any discrepancies. So it's definitely something that you should do. Another thing that I would recommend as well is if you have any prior loans, any prior federal loans, Perkins loans, you want to check to make sure that they are not in default, because if they are in default, it will prevent you from borrowing as a graduate student. So check on the status of that. And again, now is the best time to do that, because in some ways it can take months to rehab or get your loan into the status that it should be for borrowing. Keeping down the cost of grad school. I think this is a really important slide because for graduate students, really loans, with what we're offering primarily in terms of helping you finance your education. So how can you keep down the cost? And assessing all of your resources, your income and your assets, past, present, and future. So what can you do now to save, or do you already have a savings? Are you going to receive any support from your family? We do have payment plans that you can establish with our bursar's office as well, if that's something that you can manage while you're in school to help keep down your borrowing. So these are all things that you should consider. Another thing I want to say is you should have a savings in order to start grad school. So if you are, let's say, relocating to our area, or even, you need to establish and get an apartment, these are things that you should do and have in order to get settled before grad school. So the way we disperse financial aid is we disperse financial aid in the fall semester and the spring semester. And it's the first week in each of those semesters. So fall usually is the last week or so in August, depending on the program. And spring begins in January, first week in January. And that disbursement, if you borrow for living expenses, you will receive your refund the first week in each of those semesters. That is meant to hold you over through that term. So you want to make sure that, you know, before you even begin grad school, that you have a way to get settled and before you begin the program, because the funds that you receive is to get you through the 11 or 12 months, depending on the program you're enrolled in. So make sure that you are looking at all of your resources to get you settled and help to reduce your amount of borrowing as a student. Smart borrowing is also really important as well, right? So again, if you're not from the area, you have to adjust to the cost of living here in Massachusetts, particularly in the North Grafton area. And so when you receive your financial aid award letter and we offer you the aid for living expenses, you might not know exactly what you need. You want to establish the best budget as possible, but know that there is a period where you can return federal funds. You have 120 days from the time your loan disperses to return any aid. And the money that you return is completely, the interest and fees associated with that amount you return is completely backed out. So there is wiggle room. If you don't borrow enough, you can request to borrow what you have declined, or if you borrow too much, you can return money within a certain period of time. So, and you know, definitely reach out to our office at any point if you have questions about that information. Public service and loan assistance programs. There is a document also available that I think Ginny posted in Box that has an outline of more than just several other programs besides just these two, but these two are great programs if you're considering working nonprofit public service. So the first program is the federal program, and it forgives your remaining interest and principal balance on your direct loans after you've made a total of 120 qualifying payments. You have to be repaying under a qualifying repayment plan, and you had to be working at least 30 hours per week for a qualifying employer. So nonprofit, public service employer, 501c3 organization. And that's the federal program. This is an active link where you can read more about that program. There has been some changes most recently to that program, and it's a great program if that's something that, you know, a career path that you are exploring. Tufts University, I'm proud to say, has its own program as well for students committed to working nonprofit public service after graduation. You can apply every year to this program, and it does help to pay down your student loan debt over time as well. That concludes my presentation. It's just a quick overview of financial aid. I know that, you know, so many other questions can arise. So I will open it up if there's any questions. If not, you can always email our office as well. I don't see any in the chat, so I think we're good. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck in terms of, you know, exploring all of your options, and definitely don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much, Suzanne.
You're welcome.
And next up, we have Rebecca Russo, Director of Admissions, who's going to talk to you about application and admissions. Hi, Rebecca. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Hello,
That's
everybody.
okay.
Thank you, Ginny. Hi, as Ginny said, my name is Rebecca Russo. I'm the Director of Admissions here at the Cummings School. My office handles the admissions process for all of our degree programs. So for all of the 3 master's programs, as well as for the DVM program, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, and also for our PhD programs. So if you have any questions at all about any of those programs, you can always feel free to reach out to me or any of my staff. Ginny, if you could put our email address in the chat, that would be great. It's vetadmissions@tufts.edu. We're available all of the time to answer any questions you have about any of our admissions processes for all of the degree programs. So I'd like to start out with a little bit more interactive situation here with you guys. So I know most of you have your videos off, but Feel free to turn them on, and or if you want to just put in the chat where you're from, where you're calling from, and also what schools you went to. That would be really great to see. It would be good for you to start connecting with each other and learning about each other a little bit. So feel free to do that, and we can, thanks, Jenny. We can see what kind of diverse group we have here. And speaking of diverse group, we have, I don't know how much Beckett, detailed Kate went into earlier in the session, but we, of 3 master's programs, the class sizes are very, very small. They range from 10 to 20 students in each of the programs. So you're going to get to know your classmates really well. And the diversity of the backgrounds of the students is pretty amazing. And you're going to learn a lot from each other as well as from the faculty. We have diverse students with diverse backgrounds, different ages, geographic locations, interests, career goals. And it's something that we really like to see every year in our program. So it's really, I think, a highlight of what you'll find when you're a student here.
Oh, we have a chat that just came to me. Jayla is from Denmark, South Carolina, and is attending Clemson University. Actually, one of the MAPP students currently, I believe, is from Clemson.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And also feel free to use the chat if you have questions for me as I go along. This is really a session for you, and we want to get as many questions answered that you have as possible so that we're using your time well. So as far as the admissions process goes, I'll give you a quick overview and then, take any questions that you guys have. So the 3 master's program admissions processes are work in parallel through the spring. And we have 2 application deadlines. One is February 1st, and the second one is April 3rd. This is really called like a priority deadline and a regular deadline. The benefits of applying early are, number one, we have all of our spaces available for the first deadline, obviously. And also, we are able to make admission decisions after the February 1 deadline. So if you're applying to a number of schools and or you have deadlines for other programs outside of master's programs, some of our master's students are also applying for DVM or PhD programs, and sometimes their response dates are earlier than we can get our decisions out after the April 3rd deadline. So if you're hoping for an earlier decision, then it makes sense to get your application in by the February 1st deadline, which is just about a month away from now. Each of the 3 master's programs has its own admissions committee. The committees are somewhere around 8 faculty members for each of the programs, and they are the ones who read and evaluate the applications, and then they get together as a group to discuss them and make their admission decisions. And that happens at least twice during the cycle, once after the first deadline and once after the second deadline. And then there's a potential opportunity to put other applicants on a waiting list, and so the committee would meet several times after that if we need to make decisions about waitlist applicants as well. As far as the application is concerned, the application itself, it's available on our website. It's our own application. We don't use a common application for our master's programs. And so you'll find the application on the website, and there's a different application for each one of the 3 programs. So if you're thinking about applying to more than one of our 3 programs, then you'll need to do an application for each one of the programs. Some of the much of the information is the same, but we need to get separate applications so that they get to the right committees. The application consists of basic student info, and also ask you for a resume-like setup where we want to hear about your employment experience, and we also have an essay requirement as well. You'll need to send in official transcripts from all of the colleges and universities that you attended. And then you need to also choose 3 people that you would like to use as your evaluators, and they will write letters of evaluation for you. We require that you have at least 1 academic evaluation and 1 employer evaluation, and then the 3rd one can be either an academic or an employer of your choice. The way that works is that once you choose your evaluators, you should talk to the people that you hope to ask or hope will write letters for you, and then once you have the 3 decided on, you would set those up in the application by registering them, and they would get individual emails from us asking them to complete a form. So all you need to do is tell us in your application who your evaluators are, and then we take care of it from there. As far as standardized tests go, the GRE and the MCAT used to be a requirement, and during COVID that requirement went away, and so it is now an optional piece of the application. If you have taken the GRE and or the MCAT and you've done well and you want to submit that along with your application, then you can feel free to do so, and the committee will use that as part of the evaluation. But it's you're at no disadvantage at all if you do not submit a test score. And then okay, I thought that was going to be a question. And then you submit your application by either the February 1 or the April 3 deadline, and you'll hear back from us right away that we've received it. And then my assistant, Patty LaFleur, will be in touch with you after that to let you know whether anything is missing. You'll have a portal that you can log into to find out what stage your application is at, and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty straightforward process. You've gone through it before for undergrad admissions and maybe some other graduate programs. So it shouldn't be that much of a surprise when you take a look at it. So that's sort of the general outline of our process. We will have our initial admission decisions out after the February 1 deadline by probably early to mid-March, and then if you apply for the April 3rd deadline, we'll have decisions out by early to mid-May. Anybody have any questions I want to ask? Anything that was unclear or? Great, well, it looks like we have someone from Chicago, Boston, from Texas. Thank you for letting us know. Any questions, you could just put them in the chat or turn on your microphone and ask away. It's a quiet group.
Hi, I was just going to ask really quickly if a CV would substitute for a resume.
Absolutely, yes. The CV or resume is required for the MCM program, and it's not required for the other 2. You certainly can submit one if you want to, but the other setups for the MCM, for the MIDGE and MAPP programs is more of a inputting your employment information right in the application. Other questions? Don't be shy. Hello, Rachel.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Do you have a question?
I don't. I just wanted to say hello.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Meet you as well.
I think that might be it, Ginny.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I know that a lot of people, you know, it's a lot of information to take in. So anytime you have questions, even after today, feel free to reach out directly to Rebecca, or we can forward it to Rebecca if you have questions that pop up later.
Good luck,
Thank you,
everybody.
Rebecca. So next up, we have the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs, Dr. Chad Argotsinger. Hopefully I didn't, yay. Thank you. Practice makes perfect.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. While the dean did mention we have 600 beautiful acres, none of those are filled with residence halls. So if you are not living in Boston or somewhere that's commuting distance, you will need to secure some housing. So we do have a housing website. It's vet.tufts.edu/housing. And you can reach out to Linda Mayo in my office. And we have a listing of all the local housing available. Oftentimes it's handed down from student to student. And they kind of help recruit someone to take their spot when they graduate and move on. Grafton is, as the dean mentioned, positioned just south of Worcester, not too far from Boston. We have a number of students who do commute sizable distances. So I think now's the opportunity to think about where it is that you want to live, and do you currently live in a place that is commutable? If you are not familiar with New England, we get some white stuff called snow any day now. We're waiting for it. And Grafton area tends, from my past history, to be a sweet spot often in those storms. So there will be large snowstorms that come through kind of the central Mass area and go up. So if you are moving from Texas or other places, please just think about how far you want to be. Excuse me. I know I personally like to be a little bit further away from work, so I don't run into colleagues and things all the time. But I know other students love to be right as close as possible to campus, so they can go to the library and spend as much time there and not have to have the additional burden of jumping in their car and driving back and forth. So on the housing website, it does talk about all the local towns that are around you. So if you're not familiar with the area, there's a listing of them, and it tells you how far away they are to give you a general sense. If you see a listing on our site that says it's in Grafton or North Grafton, you know how close that is. If there's anything in there that is Shrewsbury, that's not too far. But if you get to like Framingham or further out, it'll give you a sense of how far that distance is, and really think about what your commute is, so that many of your programs you are coming multiple times a week. So having a good sense of how far away you want to be will be helpful. Depending on which direction, the rent prices will fluctuate. So Linda in my office maintains, it used to be a wiki, but now it's a OneDrive folder that lists all the housing that we have available to us. And it does, most of them have an actual number. So you have a sense of what those ranges are. The website talks about, so living alone, it could be anywhere from 800 to 1,800. But if you're sharing with roommates, which a lot of our students do, it can certainly be less than $1,000 and potentially even close to the $500 mark, depending on what you're looking for. Again, being a school focused around animals and animal welfare, lots of people have pets. So if that's something you'll be bringing with you, make sure that you have that conversation with the landlord to make sure you know if pets are allowed or what types of pets are allowed, and really do your due diligence to figure out, talk to other students. The program coordinators can put you in touch with students who are living in different locations and can talk about what's working. We can probably put you in touch with, oftentimes the listing will say it's a current student helping to list the apartment for when they leave. They can tell you what it's like in terms of whether the heat's tricky or what the landlord is like. So feel free to do as much research as you can to find the best place to live. I am happy to answer any housing questions that you might have. For those of you who are moving, if you're living in Boston, there's definitely lots of people who make that commute. There is a commuter rail that is walking distance to campus. Just have to check the schedule, because I understand the train does not always stop in Grafton. Sometimes it just keeps going by us. So check the schedule to make sure it's going to work for you. And campus police on campus can go pick you up. If it's inclement weather, or if it's early in the morning or late at night, you can call our campus police and they can come down and get you. They have an escort service as well. So something else to consider as you're thinking about where you might want to live in relation to the Grafton campus. Jenny, any other questions you wanted me to address for students?
Well, I'm wondering if they have any questions themselves at the moment. The housing one is usually a big one. I just shared the website that you were referring to, and your email address if anyone has any questions anytime later.
Chad, you might want to mention some of the clubs that are available for the students to join in. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, great question, Kate. So in full disclosure, I'm relatively new to Cummings School. I've been here since August. And I will tell you that those of you coming from undergraduate institutions, it is definitely a graduate campus. So it is a very professional look and feel. Most of the student organizations are meeting for lunch or right after class. There's not a lot that I'm aware of happening at 8 o'clock at night on our campus. So it's you're definitely coming to a campus that's going to be focused on your studies, but there are lots of opportunities. So our, in essence, Student Government Association is called SAVMA, which kind of coordinates student organizations and student type events, and they have a lot happening. One of the benefits of a graduate campus is there's a number of things where there's regularly beer and wine available. So that's a change from most undergraduate institutions. We have a Cummings gathering group, which has regular socials, connecting faculty with students, either on or off campus. They did a trivia night, they hosted a volleyball tournament. So lots of things are happening, and master's students are welcome to participate in any or all things that are interest to them. We do have a fitness center on campus, so that's one less thing you have to worry about paying for. You can utilize that before class, after class, on your lunch break. It's located right in the campus center in the middle of campus. Also in that building are some quiet and lounge, 2 lounges, a quiet and a loud lounge. So if you're someone who just wants to use your lunch break and someplace quiet and work, you can certainly do that there. There's also the loud lounge, which has some pool tables, some TV. So if you want a little bit more of a distraction, you can do that. And then there's the cafe, which you can order from your phone and have ready when you walk over. So whatever works best for you, lots of options right here on campus for you. And then in addition to the fitness center, we have lots of outdoor fields. So if you're someone who wants to get out and about, and we do a variety of classes. So there's a running club, we do some yoga classes, we're exploring Pilates. So just some kind of things to help you find the appropriate work-life balance so that you're not spending all your time in class and studying.
Thank you, Chad. That was great. Where do I sign up?
Quiet group today.
It is. Anybody have any questions? Rebecca worked very hard to get some questions going. Any questions about the housing or the programs themselves, classes, faculty, anything else? Financial aid? Hi, Laura.
I was going to ask about y'all's large animal research that y'all do. Is there, because I'm from Texas, there's a huge large animal research that we do here with TVMDL and WT and Texas A&M University. Is there, how much of y'all's research is geared towards large animal, and would it be beneficial for me to be there if y'all do that large animal? What I've been working on is BRDC research with Texas A&M and WT University for the past 5 years. And I'm really interested in the university, but I found a lot of resources online, and I just didn't know how much y'all did in large animal studies.
Which program are you thinking of applying to?
I'm thinking of applying to the infectious disease.
Okay. The research is for large animals is done typically through clinical sciences, through the hospital. And any of you want to chime in, please do. And that's done with individual faculty. The programs themselves don't do research like that unless you get into the PhD program. Then that's another matter altogether. But with the master's programs, I know that in the Animals and Public Policy, they do talk about, but it's more about policy issues regarding large animals and, you know, and farming and that sort of thing. But if you're wanting to do actual research, you could have an opportunity to have a project. I think in the MCM program, they do case studies. And also in the MAPP program, they do externship also in MCM. So in the case study, it's not a thesis, typically a thesis research, it's a research project. So that would be available in the MS-IDGH program. It's a lot of hardcore science courses, and the program culminates in a course called Research Assignment. And basically what you do is set up, you look at something you want to research, you set up your methodologies, and basically write up a proposal. So that's what that course is involved in, not in the actual research itself. You will be exposed to the various labs, and Christine, you can pipe in if you'd like to join in on this. You will be involved with various researchers in those labs. Those researchers work mostly in infectious diseases. So they do use animal models, which include large animals like alpaca. You know, but it wouldn't be, if you're looking for real research, it wouldn't be with the 3 master's programs. It would be with a PhD program, or here on this campus anyway.
So Laura, I have a question. Have you signed up for the open house for the MS-IDGH tomorrow?
No, I haven't. I was going to do that after this information and kind of see where everything was. Not as of yet, but I will.
Yeah, so I would encourage you to do that, because the program director will be talking about the whole program curriculum. And for research, the animal models one, we focus on the small animals. We use the mice. So he will talk more about that tomorrow. So I would encourage you to sign up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Great question. And it's good. This is a good question because you want to be in the right program, and you know, and really study what it is you're looking for. So if anybody has any other questions about the programs that you're interested in, please, now is the time.
Nope, nobody else. Okay.
Yeah, so it is getting close to 1. So it's fine if you think of your questions later. Like I said, feel free to reach out. I do encourage everyone to, with program specific questions, to join the open houses. The faculty can be really helpful with more detailed questions about the program, as well as the students and alumni who are going to be at the open houses. Let's see. So I just want to thank you all for coming to the graduate programs open house today. We hope to see you again in the future. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. If you forget who to contact, feel free to reply to the email that you received with the confirmation, and we'll direct you accordingly. And thank you again for joining us, speakers and prospective students, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Yes, indeed, and happy 2023 to everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.